Namo Namaha Bhaktam Sarvesham Hartam Swagatam. Welcome back to this channel Sanskrit Sopanam. I hope you are doing great. I'm also good. And continuing in a series learning Sanskrit through Gita, today we are decoding the 13th shloka from the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And this is the third shloka that we are seeing. Krishna is responding to Arjuna. So if you have not seen the previous two shlokas, because from the 11th shloka onwards, Shri Krishna is responding now. So we have started that series of the dialogues, that chain of dialogues. So because all these shlokas, all these verses, they are interdependent on each other. They are a continuation of a dialogue. So please complete those shlokas if you have not done. Otherwise, the context or the meaning, it may not fit very well when we expand the shloka. But anyways, I believe everyone has completed the previous shlokas. So without wasting any more time, let's decode the shloka for today. So this is the 13th shloka that we will decode today. Let me go through the shloka once. Dehino asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantar praptira dhiras tatra na mukhyati. Okay, so this is the shloka and this here is the Sandhi Vichhed version of the shloka. So again, you can find a couple of sandhis happening. There is a Ukara sandhi that is happening here. And then you have a Rutva sandhi that is happening here. Praptira dhira. And then you have a Sakara sandhi that is happening here. Dhiras tatra. Okay, so all these sandhi details and everything as usual is in the PDF file. Download that PDF file from the link in the description box. We will just move on with the decoding of the shloka. Okay, so we are starting with this word yatha, this indeclinable yatha. Yatha simply means just as. Okay, and we have seen this before that this yatha, this is often used in pair, in conjugation with this tatha. So just as something, even so some other thing. So in that sense, we use this combination in English language also, that same thing. Okay, so we are starting with this indeclinable, this avyay. And if we'll move on, so yatha kim, just as what? So we have these three words, kaumaram, yauvanam, jara. Okay. And then I'm using this dhatu, this verb, as an implicit verb. That this is implied. This is not mentioned in the shloka. So this bhavanti, this is in an implicitly implied sense. Okay. But anyways, let us understand these words before. So we have these three pratipadika. Kaumara, yauvana, jara. Okay. Kaumara, this means childhood. That is the stage of boyhood, childhood. Okay. Yauvana, this means the adolescence stage. The youth stage, the stage of youth. Okay. And jara, so this means the old age. Okay. And what is the form? So kaumara, this is a neuter gender pratipadika. Okay, it is a neuter gender pratipadika. So is this yauvana. This is also a neuter gender pratipadika. Jara, so you can already see akarant pratipadika. So this is a feminine gender pratipadika. Okay, and all of them, they are here in the first word case singular form. Okay, since this kaumara and yauvana, both of them are neuter gender pratipadika. So don't get confused. It is not a dvitiya vibhakti. It is the first word case, prathama vibhakti form only. Okay, but anyways, the entire statement means yatha, just as these three stages, they bhavanti, they happen. Okay, but now the question will be that happens for what? Happens for who? So that is what I am asking. That happens for who? Kasya. And the response is dehinaha. And dehina, this translate as for the embodied soul. Okay. Or in Hindi we also say jivatma. But anyways, this form, this shabda rupa, this is coming from this pratipadika, dehin. This is a neuter gender. This is a napunsakling. Neuter gender pratipadika again means the same thing. Embodied soul or jivatma. Okay, and I'm saying that these three distinct life stages that we have mentioned, kaumaram, yauvanam and jara, these three life stages, they happen for this embodied soul. Okay, so I want to convey this, that for the embodied soul. That is why I'm using the shashti vibhakti, that is the sixth case singular. So dehin, this nakarant pratipadika changes into dehinaha. Okay, in shashti vibhakti ekvachan. So that is how we are getting this dehina. And again, don't get confused that for the embodied soul, but for this prayojana, for this we generally use the fourth case. So this fourth case is used in the sense of this for when the person is a receiver of something. Okay, in that sense that I'm giving something to someone. So if that person is a receiver of something, then we generally use this fourth case to imply the sense for. Say for instance that aham mitraye kalam dadami. That I am giving this pen to my friend. So that friend, he is a receiver of this pen. So mitraye, the chaturthi vibhakti form. But here we are saying that these three changes, these three life stages, they happen for this embodied soul. So this changes belongs to the body. So when we have this sense that these changes belong to the body, these changes of the body. So when we have this sense of belonging, so that is why we are using the sixth case. So don't get confused. We'll often see this for something in the use of sixth case, shashti vibhakti. But again, you have to see the context. In what context it is being used. But anyways, the context so far is yatha dehinaha. Just as for the embodied soul, these three life changes, these three life stages, bhavanti, happen. Okay, so that is what we are getting at. But let us open one more information, that this embodied soul, wherein it is present. So, asmin dehe dehinaha. Asmin dehe, in this body. So, dehe, this is coming from this pratipadika deha. So, deha, this is a masculine gender pratipadika. This simply means body. And we are supporting this with using this pronoun, idam. So, idam we saw in the previous shloka also. Idam pronoun represent this. And since dehe, so we are saying in the body. That is why deha in the seventh case, in the saptami vibhakti, changing into dehe. So idam, this will also take the masculine gender, seventh case singular form, changing into asmin. So asmin dehe, in this body. Okay, that is what we are getting at. And by asmin dehe, we are just supporting this dehinaha, that the soul while present in the body. So while present in the body, it experiences these three life stages. That is what the implied meaning is here. Okay, so that is what we are starting at. If we'll move on, and now we are saying tatha, like even so. So we have seen this yatha. Just as the embodied soul present in the body, it experiences all those three different life stages. In the same manner, even so, dehantar praptihi bhavati. That in the same manner, that embodied soul also experiences dehantar praptihi. And the meaning is obtaining another body. Obtaining another body, and you can also translate as attainment of another body. This is a feminine gender. This is a feminine gender pratipadika. Prapti again means same thing. Obtaining or the attainment of something. And dehantar. So this is of course coming from these two words. Deha, we have already seen before, this means body. And antara. So this again has couple of different meanings in Sanskrit. Antara means gap, it means distance. But within the context of the shloka, this antara, this means another. Okay. So deha antara, when they combine due to dirgha sandhi, they combine as dehantara. And so this samasa, dehantar praptihi, this samasa basically means that the attainment of another body. Simple as that. So this entire statement means yatha asmin dehe dehinaha kaumaram yauvanam jara bhavanti tatha dehantar praptihi api bhavati. Okay, again I am just using some additional words to get the proper meaning out of it. Okay, so we are basically talking about this dehina, this embodied soul, because in the previous two shlokas he pointed out about this thing, that there is a atma, there is a self that is beyond this physical body, and there was no time in the past, or there will be no time in the future, then this Atma, this soul, does not exist. And so, pointing at that eternal existence of Atma, talking from that perspective, from the perspective of Atma, the soul, just as all these three different life stages are experienced by the embodied soul. So, for that same embodied soul, the attainment of new body, once this body dies out, so attainment of new body, it is just as natural for that embodied soul. So that is what Krishna is hinting at, and that is why he further continues and says that tatra. Tatra means there. So literally it means there, but within the context of the shloka, this is not pointing towards some geographical location, some physical location. This there is pointing to that established truth, or basically that fact, the fact he just spoke about. So this there is pointing to that tatra, or at that established truth. Dhiraha. Dhira is the firm-minded person. A person who is firm-minded, who is a jnani. Okay, someone who has realized this truth. So he's talking about that. Because firm-mindedness, it can only come again, no, when we have realized the eternal truth. Until we realize that eternal truth, until that point our mind, it is going to fluctuate with all the different things and that. So that is what he's saying, that dhiraha, a jnani person, a firm-minded person, na mukhyati. Mukhyati is becomes delusional. Na mukhyati doesn't becomes delusional. Okay, so tatra, at that established truth, at that fact, at the face of that fact, the firm-minded person, he does not become delusional anymore. That is what Krishna means. Mukhyati. This is coming from muh, this dhatu. And this dhatu again means to be delusional. Okay, muh dhatu. And because he's talking about this dhiraha na mukhyati. So of course, third person, singular, and lat lakar. Lat lakar is simple present tense in Sanskrit. So I hope the words are all clear. Let us see the anvay and see the full translation of the shloka now. Yatha, just as, dehinah asmin dehe, just as for the soul that is embodied in this body, asmin dehe, in this body. The three life stages, that is kaumaram, that is the childhood, yauvanam, that is the adolescence, jara, that is the old age. So just as for the soul embodied in this body, the different stages of life, that is childhood, adolescence and old age, all these stages happen. Tatha, even so, dehantar prapti, even so is obtaining another body. And then he says, Tatra dhiraha na mukhyati. Tatra basically referring to that at the impermanency of life, at that fact, or at the impermanency of life, at that fact, dhiraha, the firm minded person, na mukhyati, he does not get deluded. And again, this point we have already discussed in the 11th shloka, that death is change. We have to understand that. That is what Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna. That again, what example I took in the 11th shloka, that from a cocoon, when the caterpillar emerges, so it is not the death of a cocoon. It is just the change into a caterpillar. So Krishna is trying to prompt Arjuna to change his perspective. That if you are a yogi, if you are well established in the one single truth, then you can see this. Then you can identify that when a body dies, so this is just this body that dies. But for the soul, from the self that is eternal, it is just another change. It is just another change, as natural, as organic as the change of the body from the adolescence stage, from the boyhood to adolescence, from adolescence to old age, and finally, ultimately, death. So that is what he's saying. I hope all the words and everything, grammar wise and vocabulary wise, was clear. Pretty simple words used in this shloka as well. I'll meet you in the next video, in the next shloka. Until then, stay awesome, stay happy. Vayam punah milamaha. Dhanyavad.